Our presenter today is Don Griffith. Like each of you, he has witnessed the emergence of social media. It's a powerful tool to share ideas and influence people. In today's session, Don is going to moderate a discussion panel, our first ever on Lunch and Learn. But this panel is dedicated to understanding how social media can enhance your club and increase membership. To introduce his panel of experts, please help me welcome to the virtual lectern, distinguished Toastmaster, Don Griffith.
Thank you, Colleen. It's a pleasure to be on the Lunch and Learn. This is a very special series of educational programs that you've been putting on. I love them all. Today, we're going to do a special on social media for clubs. We're not talking about social media for businesses, although that can inform our discussion. We're not talking about it for the district, although that's important. We're talking about using social media in a club. With me today is Katrina. Katrina, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Don. Yes, my name is Katrina Samuels Garrison. I am a registered dietitian, and I actually use social media to promote my business as a dietitian, although I do also have a job. I've been with Toastmasters for about 2 years or so. I'm looking to do more speeches that are related to nutrition.
Thank you, Katrina. Next up is Yuri. Yuri, introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, I'm Yuri, and I have been with Toastmasters for about 6 months now. I currently work as a product marketing manager at a software company. I also run a marketing training program for females who want to get into marketing, and I have an online course as well for people that want to learn more about digital marketing. And I got into Toastmasters to improve my public speaking skills.
Thank you, Yuri. Just for information, Yuri is in my home club, Voice of Many, so welcome and thank you, Yuri, for helping out. Next up is a familiar face to the Lunch and Learn videos, is Lisa Raymond.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Raymond. For those who don't know me, I have my own business as Visibly Media, which focuses on, of all things, social media marketing for businesses, as well as some other aspects of marketing like graphic design and web design. I've been doing this since 2008 with a focus on helping people understand how this stuff works. I got into Toastmasters back in August of 2014 to improve my communication skills, and I'm still learning.
Aren't we all? Thank you, Lisa. And finally is Maggie Schaefer. Maggie, please introduce yourself.
Absolutely, Don. My name is Maggie Schaefer. I am with the Agua-Fria Toastmasters Club. I've been with them for 3 years, I believe now. I'm actually not so good with the social media stuff, but I am VP PR for the club, and I've been learning and getting more information about how I can make it more successful and attract more members for our club. So I'm excited to be here and share some information that I've got with you, Don.
All right. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you all. Let's get into the questions. We're going to start with an obvious question. Why should a club consider using a social media presence? And we're going to start with Maggie. Maggie, why should clubs do social media?
Clubs should do social media because it is a huge resource that we can pull from places across the country. And especially right now with a lot of us being on Zoom, it's the perfect place to promote ourselves. It's especially appropriate for us to keep our members engaged with us, even though we might not be in person. We still want to feel as if we're part of a group and we're part of a family together. So it's a great place to do that, a great place to attract some new members, and it's a great place to promote Toastmasters overall, because that's the goal, is to promote our Toastmasters and get more people involved. It's crazy how much your experience can change when you get into Toastmasters, and sharing that with people across the country and across the globe is going to be great if you start using your social media presence.
Indeed. So getting new members, having our members engaged, and helping the Toastmaster brand. Those are 3 great ideas. You may have some more ideas out there in the audience. And if you have any questions, make sure you use that chat box, and we'll try to get to those at the end of the session. Once your club has decided maybe this social media thing is worth looking at, or you already have social media, but you'd like to improve it, enhance it, what kind of content can we put on a club's social media? Yuri, do you have some ideas for what kind of content we can share?
Yes, definitely. So we have quite a few ideas for Toastmasters members to share content on social media. First of all, obviously there are the speeches every week that happen at each Toastmasters chapter. So you always have content from videos that are filmed at your chapter that you can post on, that you can use to post on social media channels, depending on what channels you're using. And we'll talk more about social media platforms in a bit. But you can also post about upcoming events that your specific chapter might be having. There are also member profiles and testimonials that you can post about, especially if you have new members that are coming into your club. You can introduce those new members with a photo and a description on your social media channels. Something that performs really well on social media and that we've discussed could be improved across all Toastmaster social media channels are candid photos. So more shorter videos and candid photos, especially on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, perform really, really well. So if you have a designated person at your meeting who is taking photos of people just interacting with each other or even coming into the club, those would be good ideas of content to post on your platforms. There are also stories that you can post about. So Instagram and TikTok are really popular for Reels, for example. Those get a lot of engagement there, and it's really easy to make a simple and quick reel. Keep in mind, sometimes with videos, actually, shorter videos actually perform better at times because the way the algorithm works is the longer someone has watched through the entire video, the higher it comes up in search results. So that's something to keep in mind. Instead of posting these longer videos online that people may not watch the rest of the way, you might want to try and focus on smaller snippets that are just a few seconds long. And then there are also quotes of the day that you could post on there, especially if you want to keep more recurring content versus only posting once a week. Quotes are a really easy way to do that because you can easily even schedule those quotes ahead of time, and they're really easy to pull from the internet. You could also have a word of the day. You describe the word and the definition on social media, and then you can always repurpose content. That's the easiest way to get more content on your social media channels without having to work a lot more. And the way you repurpose content, for example, if you have a video of someone who made a speech during your meeting, you can quickly pull quotes from that speech, or you can take photos of that person while they're making the speech. So now you have this different content that you can share across platforms. That video you can post on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube, for example. And just wanted to show something really quick in terms of ideas for keeping content consistent for your weekly meetings. There is something called Trello, which is a free platform that you could use for your club that would help you organize more of this content. And I just want to share my screen really quick and show what something like that would look like. So this is a Trello board and some ideas of what you could do with this. As you can see, these are little columns with cards corresponding to that topic. And so here we have some content ideas that I included that I just went over right with you right now. We have upcoming events, member profiles and testimonials, things like that I just mentioned. And whoever the go-to person at your club is that's in charge of social media could could manage this board for your chapter, and just put ideas on here so that people can easily grab ideas from here. Or maybe if you want to list like platforms, these are popular platforms you can use to schedule content ahead of time so that you don't have to be creating content every single day. It's already scheduled for you. Some of these platforms are free, some are paid options, but there are a lot of free options out there. You can post sample posts from other Toastmasters channels that you see, so you can easily get influenced by other content that you may see on other Toastmaster social media profiles that you like, and incorporate those into your chapter's social media content. And then here I have some online learning platforms and courses that you could easily take. Some of these are free as well, so that you can learn more about creating content and managing your social media profiles. And yep, those are some of the ideas that I have for creating more consistent content for your Toastmasters club.
Thank you, Yuri. Yuri, I have a follow-up to that. You showed this Trello board.
Yes.
Now, I've looked at it before for my own purposes. This is not a social media platform. It's a planning tool, correct?
Yes. Correct.
It allows you to get organized, keep your thoughts together. And if you made that something that was a club resource, with other club members, other officers could log in, people who are on your social media team in your club, they could all log into a common area. Lisa, you're nodding your head. Have you used Trello?
We have here in District 3, and I use it also with the web hosting company that I work with on their social media. It's helpful because now I can see what their strategy is, what's coming up, what one of my area directors used to call what's the alligators closest to the boat. And you've tried to fend those off by making sure that you have all those planned out. Trello has been really easy for them to use. They can put up their ideas, what's coming up, even 3 months out. And that way we know what we want to do, what images we want to put with it, and what the posts are. And then they approve the card. So then I know it's good to post.
Yeah, great. I will throw this out to the other panelists. Do you have any other ideas for content? Something that came to mind when Yuri was listing those.
Yuri mentioned repurposing information. And I was just going to say, if there are members who have their own personal social media accounts and they're being creative, you could use other members' posts on the Toastmasters account as well. So that's also a good idea if it's if you feel like you're posting too often, or if you feel like you can't post often enough, to just use other members' posts. And it's the same thing. It all looks similar. It's the same subject, it's the same topic that you're talking about. So that's another thing that members could do as well.
So let me clarify, Katrina. You think if another Toastmaster posts something that's Toastmaster related,
yes,
or something about their club, not necessarily their personal life.
Stuff, no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we want this to be a club resource. This isn't your personal page for anything that you like to share. Okay, great.
Can I add on to that? I think
sure.
Katrina's idea is really great, because the more interactions you have with other people in the social media space, the higher the engagement usually. And one other idea is to also tag people in your post for your Toastmasters content. If you have a member that you can tag online, do it, because then you'll usually get more views and more engagement that way.
Yuri, you mentioned the algorithm. I know what that means, but not everybody understands that or knows what that means. When you say the algorithm will take note of a shorter video, for instance, tell us more about what's going on behind the scenes in the social media technology.
Of course. So when we say the algorithm, it's basically a kind of a mathematical equation. And what it does is it takes certain factors. It looks at a post and it takes into consideration several different factors to determine whether that post is going to be interesting to other people. So it looks at factors like, is is the person who's viewing this, who we want to show that, like, let's say Instagram, for example. Instagram's going to look at your post and they want to only show the most interesting content to people, knowing that that person is going to be interested in your content. So the things that they look at are things like, has this person interacted with this other person before? Does this person typically like this type of content? Is this person likely to engage with this type of content? And how many views does this content have? How many likes and shares and comments does this content have? So the more you have each of those types of things, the more views that you'll get on your content. And therefore that just builds on top of each other and generates more engagement. So that is how the algorithm works.
Okay. So if we're smart in what we post, we can have those algorithms help us to find more of the people that we want. Each club has an audience that it's trying to reach. And that might be an age group, an affinity group in terms of some sort of hobby or business or any other kind of thing. We have an audience we want to reach. So if we can focus using those tools, great. Well, there's a lot of content. But once you've decided you want to do it, and once you've decided what it is that you want to tell the world, what's the best way to do that? So, Lisa, what would be your suggestion for a go-to platform that most clubs ought to at least consider?
It's been around since about 2004, 2006. You can't really ignore Facebook, even though it might be for some of us in our older generation at this point. It still has, as of January of this year, 2.58 billion people using it actively. That's 98.5% of 3 billion people, of which they had about not even just a year ago. 2.8 billion access Facebook through this thing called a mobile phone. You can't ignore that. So if we're all on our phones, if we're all on our mobile devices, that's not a thing that you really want to ignore. It sounds like a lot of noise, but you can cut through the noise with different strategies and different verbiage that will actually get to the audience you're trying to look for. More stats, 2.33 billion people only use the Facebook interface from their phone. So they're not even going through a computer at this point. And as of this point, of that number, there's only 476 million that access through phones and computers, but not necessarily every day. So what they consider an active user, you're on there every day, at least an hour a day. I don't know about all of you. I know I do this for a living. I don't have an hour, but that's what people do. They're on there either playing games, talking to friends, posting. They're doing a lot of activity on there. And the more activity you have, the more of a you're going to put on your club.
So Facebook, but another element of what you just said was mobile. Whatever we do needs to be able to be shared in a mobile environment. And again, most of the platforms do have a mobile app, but we have to be mindful that where people are and so forth. Katrina, do you have a suggestion for a social media platform, perhaps one that's a little more fun and creative?
I do. And Facebook is a great platform to have. I'm probably in the same generation that Lisa is. I know I didn't even join Facebook until like 2008, and a lot of people had already been on it. And that's how I was able to find friends or to keep up with friends. But TikTok has become very popular lately, and probably, I don't know how many years. I know it was in the news a while ago. TikTok is a little bit more flamboyant, but the reason why I like TikTok is because it can be informational and it can be fun at the same time. There are many companies on TikTok. I was just looking at this the other day. There's air travel companies that are on TikTok that are advertising. There's clothing companies, there's car companies. So there's a lot of advertising going on for TikTok, which means that people know that you're going to be visible on TikTok. TikTok is not just for you to it's not just for you to have fun with it, but you can also put a lot of information in TikTok because of the way that TikTok is set up. And it's very similar to Instagram. I just think for some reason, TikTok has just gotten not necessarily more popular, but it's kind of like the new kid on the block. So yes, please don't be afraid of TikTok. I know that there's a lot of there's some negative things on there, but TikTok can be very positive, and it can
Right.
also be very fun just making those videos as well. And you'll draw in probably a bit of a younger audience, but you will draw in an audience if you're using TikTok.
Yeah. I was one of those who was a little iffy about TikTok, and I think Katrina is starting to persuade me to check it out. All right.
Yes, got to.
Yuri, what platform do you recommend for getting out there and being found?
I would say Facebook is definitely number one in terms of where you should be in social media, because if you don't have a Facebook, technically you don't exist still at this point, because it's so important. TikTok is really good as well to get found, and especially for the younger generation. I think for Instagram, it's kind of like that middle ground, but it also is really great for engagement and for being found, because Instagram does have actually higher engagement than Facebook, even though Facebook does have more active users. Instagram does get pretty close to the number of active users that Facebook has. It has about a billion active users monthly. So those are a lot of active users. But on top of that, these users are engaging with the content on a regular basis. So engagement is king when it comes to social media and content, because like I said before, the more engagement you get on your content, the more likely it is for you to be seen, and not only seen by people who already know about you and already follow you, but seen to new audiences. So that I think that's where Instagram shines, is that it has so many active users who are very loyal to the platform, who are going to see your content without you having to pay any money for advertisements in order to do that. So Instagram has features like you can set a location for your content, for example. So people who are nearby are more likely to see that content. If they live in Scottsdale and you have a club in Scottsdale, then people who are nearby are going to be able to see that content versus you having to pay money for an advertisement so that those type of people see your content. So it's just a lot. It gives you a higher return of your time in terms of getting people engaged who have never interacted with you before or even heard of you before.
Right. And all three of these, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, are all very interactive in terms of people sharing across and sharing to other platforms. Maggie, I know that you're new to social media, but you're probably not new to mail and websites. Can email and websites be helpful in this regard?
Well, absolutely. Having a website, I think, is essential for any Toastmasters clubs. It's a great way for all of us to have information. Our club specifically, we use ours so that we have all the same documents. If somebody's absent, we can quickly grab a document, set up for a meeting, and get everything going. So I think a website's essential. And in case you didn't know, Toastmasters gives every club a free website. They have access to a free little portal. You can set up your own website, so you definitely should be doing that. It allows members to look for you and allows people to look for you in general. It's nice to have a website that they can click on and know that you're real. So a website, I think, especially for all of us, we've all gone to a website. It's perfect. And you can link it back on your social media. So you can broadcast out to social media and be like, hey, if you're interested in us, check out our website. And you can put all the Zoom information on the website instead of in your social media, which protects you from certain people who are just looking for a goof. They might not go the extra step and try and click on your website and get in there. So it's a good thing for that. And then, of course, email. If you get guests in, I suggest you get them right up front. Be like, hey, guest, we definitely want to have you back. Could you give us your email? We want to give you more information. We want you to have a contact point, somebody to get a hold of and give you that information. So an email, 100%, definitely use those as well. And then I think some honorable mentions, we have YouTube and the Mio, LinkedIn, all kinds of websites, Meetup. I don't use a lot of them, so maybe some of the other panelists can grab on them. But great honorable mentions. I think all of that is definitely something that you have to have. Emails, websites, everything's great.
Yeah, email, the original killer app. Before email, nobody was using computers. And after email, everybody in the world seemed to have a computer. It sounds like there's a fair amount of work involved to keep these going, to post, to come up with ideas, send out emails, update your website. Lisa, can you give us a sense of how much time is needed to have an effective social media program in a club?
It's not a fair question for me because I probably take 30 minutes a week and I can come up with content, but I've also been doing this a lot longer than some of our club members. I don't want to scare anybody. I would say if you're working with your leadership team, try to not spend more than an hour a week. And that's a lot too, but it's a way to get content created, thinking about, well, what's coming up? Do we have a guest event coming up? Our club at the end of the year, like before the end of the year, we'll have our anniversary party, which we can turn at Remarkable Speakers into a guest event. So now we've got a guest event that does one last push to get members through before the end of the year. Now we're fortunate just because that happens in June and that's when our anniversary is, but you could do that. If you use what Yuri pointed out as an example, to use Trello or even just a calendar on the wall, map out, okay, what kind of content am I going to post on Monday? Like what's motivational for Motivational Mondays, for example. You could do a Toastmasters tips on Tuesday or Thursday, the word of the day, even if it's not on the day that your club meets, you could do like a Toastmasters word of the day. Hashtag that, which we'll get into in a bit. And you can have that content out there daily. You don't have to post 5 or 6 times a day. That's what I do. You don't have to do that. But as long as you make a consistent post, the search engines will find you based on how often you're posting and how many days a week you're posting at the same time. You don't want to post like at 5 o'clock or 2:30. That's pretty expected. And I think Yuri can speak to the algorithm. It'll kick you out because, oh, yeah, you're using a scheduler, even if you're not. But if you post at like 12:02, 5:43, something like that, that's a little off base that people aren't going to think of for a scheduler, like using Hootsuite or something, then the algorithm picks it up as being regular, and that returns in the search engine results. When I first started my business in 2008, my Twitter account was higher than my website, which was saying something. It appeared on page 1 when you were looking for me. That was a little astounding, but it goes to the power again of the posting. So I would start with an hour and try to trim that to no more than 30 minutes a week. That way you're working with your team and you're not putting a ton of time into it. And nominate someone to help you. So if you're using Trello, get someone to help you that's a little bit better on another platform. Now you're setting up a transition team.
You just hit a key point that it's not just one person, right? It doesn't have to be just one person. If you can get several people in your club to help, either with content or with posting and so forth, that it doesn't put it all on one person. Colleen, you had a hand up?
Yes, you have a question, and it's for Katrina or Yuri. It said, where did you hear about Toastmasters on social media? From Nancy. Could you answer that question, please?
Start with Katrina.
Yes, and I believe I did type it into the chat, but I actually heard about Toastmasters through a fellow dietitian. And she was a dietitian, and I believe she was doing Toastmasters for her business or for the company that she worked for. And I was asking her about it, and Toastmasters just seemed like a good idea to me because that was something that I wanted to do as well for my business, which is public speaking, which is being a dietitian, but doing nutrition speeches. So I didn't actually hear about it through social media, but this kind of explains why social media is so important, though, because once you are on social media, we become more visible, and then you don't have to rely on, word of mouth for information. So another great reason to have social media.
Yeah. Yuri?
I heard about it in college, which was a long time ago. Well, it's like about 10 years ago. And so I don't recall if it was through word of mouth or maybe it was like a flyer or something, but I know I was always interested in public speaking. And that's when I first remember hearing about it. But to piggyback off what Katrina just said, I think I'd be interested to know how everyone else heard about Toastmasters. I'm willing to bet that a lot of us have not heard about it through social media. And that just goes to show that if we do a lot more work on our social media content and put a lot more effort in, then our visibility is going to definitely increase, because I think right now people might just be hearing about it through word of mouth for the majority.
Yeah. Maggie?
And I know the question wasn't directed to me, but I actually have heard about Toastmasters through social media. My boss also mentioned that I should do something about my speaking because I wasn't very good at it when I started. Someone from my club could probably attest. But I heard about it through YouTube, actually. I love watching speakers, and Toastmasters is a prevalent face on YouTube of speakers, and it's a great place to see some excellent speeches from some world-class people.
Yeah. Lisa, what about you?
I actually heard about Toastmasters through my business mentor. I was doing a lot of presentations through the public square in libraries and whatnot, and he didn't quite like the way I was doing that, so he said, go to Toastmasters, just look it up. So I did a search to find Toastmasters near me, and I found the club that I'm currently at my home now, Remarkable Speakers, because they had a website and an active presence. The time and day fit, so I just continued going.
Yeah. In my case, it was a coworker who invited me long before social media was ever invented, over 20 years ago. But I can tell you from personal and recent experience in my home club, we have 4 new members in the last month. They all contacted us through our website. The Contact Us button on Free Toast Host. If you don't know about that, there's a magic formula for having those contact messages turn into members. Contact them right away. If someone has taken the time to write you a quick message saying, please tell me more about Toastmasters, you don't know how long they've been wondering whether they ought to do that. Maybe this is something that really is a stretch for them. Don't let them wait 3 or 4 days. Try to get on it as soon as you can. But there's all these methods. I think that Katrina and Yuri right. Even though a lot of what we've said has been word of mouth or maybe email or a website, just think how much more we could do if we use these tools that are used by billions of people. Billions with a B. All right, let me check my time. I would like to skip one of the planned questions we have and move into resources. Yuri, could you share a little bit about what kind of resources our clubs and the officers and the members could get access to help them figure this out? Some clubs don't have any social media. Others do have one, but maybe it's ineffective or not very active. What are some resources?
Yes. So you may recall the Trello board that I showed earlier. So that is a great resource for you to share, to have people in your club share ideas with each other and share resources with each other. But I think it's also important to know, to keep knowledgeable about different social media ideas. And one of the ways to do that is to take online courses. There are a lot of online courses available that, like I said, a lot of them are free courses that you can take. Some of them are paid, but there are very affordable paid online courses. For example, my online course is only $30 a month if you're interested. But there are also free online courses like Coursera.org. I know offers some free online courses for marketing. And there are other platforms like LinkedIn Learning and Udemy, where you can take guided video courses that will show you more about social media and give you some social media content ideas. And then obviously there's always YouTube that you can go and watch content on there. And then also with books, you can always go on Amazon. Sometimes Amazon actually has some free ebooks that you can read through that don't cost any money. They're just free to download. And you can learn more about social media through that. And then you can, like I said, look to other Toastmaster clubs near you and try and get some ideas from them. And And then also in terms of we talked a little bit about scheduling your content ahead of time. I think that it's a great idea, like Lisa said, to try not to overwhelm yourself thinking that you need to create this content on a daily basis. There are free scheduling platforms out there where you can sit down, say on a Sunday or on a Monday when you have 30 minutes to set time aside, and then just schedule out your content for the entire week. So, and then if you make it a recurring thing where every single day is kind of the same theme of what kind of content you're posting. So let's say on a Monday, you always post a Monday quote. On Tuesday, you do a Tuesday trivia for Toastmasters. On a Wednesday, you post a video of someone who did a speech at your club, and then you keep that schedule consistent week to week. It's going to make it that much easier for you to schedule content every single week. And now you're only taking about 30 minutes out of your week to schedule that out. And like I said, there are some great scheduling tools out there that are also free. Some of them are platforms like Later, Sendable, and Sprout Social. But if you just do a Google search, you can easily find some free scheduling tools.
Good old Google. All right. The last planned question I have will go back to Maggie. Maggie, it was a two-part question when we planned this out. It's what should go in a club's plan? If a club has decided, yeah, we want to do this and we want to do it right, and the people on this panel said we ought to probably have a plan for this and think about it and not have it just be a random thing, what would be some things to include in that plan?
Some huge things to include in your social media plan is, number one, get a group. And it is a pitfall that my club specifically has fallen into. One person is in charge of it. Currently, that's me. And I can tell you right now, I'm not keeping up with it the way that I should. Like Lisa said, it probably takes me an hour every week. And sometimes I just don't have an hour. Sometimes I can't think of anything to come up with to put content in. So definitely put a group together. Have somebody be your VPPR. Have them in charge. But have them be in charge of a group of people that you all get together and you talk about what you want to go on social media. You can include your leadership committee in that, or it could be a little side group that isn't part of the leadership committee. And having your members themselves, not part of the leadership committee, involved is a great way to get them involved with leadership. Maybe they would become interested in becoming your next VPPR. And you definitely want to have a backup plan for that. At work, I am constantly thinking of what happens if I'm gone tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen in life. Maybe I get too busy and I can't take care of it anymore. You got to have a succession plan. So that's number two, is have a succession plan. Who would take over if you become unavailable to the group? And that's a great thing to consider whenever you're setting up for your social media plan. Now, the other things you want to consider are, who is your audience? My club specifically, we like to cater to new people. We love having brand new people who don't know what Toastmasters come in to our club, learn about it, get good at it. And if they're interested in, and we have had several members move on to other clubs who are going at higher target, I'm not sure how to say it, they're working at a higher level. They don't go over the rules anymore. They go straight into their speeches. They're interested in performing at a huge top level. They're interested in really getting into their speaking. But our club specifically, we like new people. So make sure you're targeting the audience that you want in your Toastmasters club. And not only that, targeting the audience that you are posting for on that social media platform. Like all of our other panelists have said, if you're using Facebook, you should post differently than if you're using something like Twitter, where it's supposed to be something quick that people can look at and scroll right past. Facebook, you might do something a little bit longer. And then TikTok, you want to do videos. It's all videos, and that's what they're interested in. So definitely consider audiences in both of those manners. A content calendar is a great thing to think up, whether you're using a platform to help you come up with your ideas, or if you're using a Google Sheet that's shared between the groups of you, whatever you're comfortable using, but make sure your entire group can use it, have access to it, and give all of the ideas that you guys are really thinking of. And then definitely you want to be trying to make sure that you don't lose your passwords and things like that. We want to make sure that everybody can get in. I know I've switched our social medias. All of them were linked, I believe, to our last VPPR. They went to her email. And trying to remember somebody else's email is a little hard. So everything is now linked to our club email, and our club has an email specific to the club. It doesn't belong to me, and everybody in our committee can get into it. They all have the password. They know what it is. And I hate to say it, but most of our passwords are pretty similar or the same. So if we need to guess at a password, we can get pretty close. And that's a good thing too. But there are also password managers, things like LastPass. I'm sure there are others that you can look up for free on the Google and find those and have those saved off. And every member in your leadership committee can access those as well. Again, if something happens to you, who takes over? Who has access to all the emails? Who can really get into that stuff? And the answer needs to be everybody in the leadership committee, because if most of us go down, somebody needs to run the meetings, right? And the last thing that I'll say is make sure you're making something engaging. You want to be interesting, especially if you're looking for a younger audience or an older audience. Those people are interested in totally different things sometimes, and you want to be careful about how you're marketing to them. And not to say that they're completely different, but I mean, we've got different interests sometimes, you got to admit. So just be careful about how you're branding yourself, who you want to invite to your club, and then having a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan and a backup plan for that backup plan, just to make sure that everybody can get to where they need to go.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you all. I'm going to open it up for additional questions. Colleen, do we have any other questions in the chat?
We had one about Meetup. What is Meetup?
Okay. Who would like to take that on? I'll talk about it a little bit. Meetup is a little different than what I would call the standard social media. It's not a chat place. It's really more like a website where you can put in a scheduled meeting. The meetup refers to the fact that people are looking for groups, they're looking for meetings, either for their hobbies or maybe just a social event. Meetup, you can put in your club's calendar, and if it's a standard meeting, for instance, our club meets Thursday mornings every week at Denny's. We could put that up on Meetup, and then it's searchable. People will go into the meetup looking for something interesting to do this week. It's similar to Facebook and the others in the sense that you can put in comments. Your club members can put in comments and respond to questions. There is a nominal fee for Meetup. It's not very expensive. We've had some success with it. Other clubs have had very good success with it. It's worth checking out. Again, it's really just a place for the community to find your meeting. And a lot of Toastmasters, if you go into Meetup and search for Toastmasters, you'll see a lot of different hits. So it's a good thing to go try. Lisa.
Yes.
If I can piggyback on that, Dawn, it searches by zip code. So I know that we're all still like behind the screens here, and I get that. But once we're done being behind the screens, we want to find the meetings that are closest to us, and it operates by zip code. District 3 has a Meetup account because they don't really want clubs to have to bear that cost. When I was doing that, the nominal fee was $90 every 6 months. So if that's okay for me on business because I can write it off, you could probably on your business, Dawn. Not everybody can. District 3 recognized that. So I think it was about 2, maybe 3 years ago, they decided to create a Meetup account for the district. So the clubs can list their events on there, but they still have the opportunity to post photos and discussions. Back to your point, it is searchable and it will be found as it comes up in Google search engine.
Right. Now, one thing that Meetup is not, it's not a dating site. It's if you look at that and say, oh, this sounds pretty sketchy, that's not what I'm looking for. No, that's not what it is at all. It is a place for groups to have their meetings announced to the public. Colleen, any other questions?
Yes, I believe you have to reach out to one of the trio to get the free access for Meetup. Christy Hopper was the one who told me about it. And I did realize that there was a cost, and I was thinking about trying to do that. But since the district is helping with that.
Sure. We'll put that information in on the show notes.
And I put a link in the chat for our people that are viewing in the audience.
The other question I saw was somebody mentioned that you post pictures of your club and post pictures on Facebook, or do you need permission to post someone else's photo?
Well, let me take that, because I deal with a lot of the media releases for the district. Events where we record someone, like this event today, the panelists and Colleen and myself, we've all signed a media release saying it's okay for the district to publish this recording. In a club setting, there is no absolute requirement, but you simply need to be aware of what are the privacy concerns of your members. Ask them, is it okay? For instance, if a speaker is speaking and you want to do maybe a live stream, which would be fun, or you're doing a table topics and you want to put that out as a Facebook Live, make sure everybody in the group is okay with that. Just simply ask them. If they're not, don't give them any fuss. Just say, okay, fine, we'll make sure not to include you. I would ask that. Katrina, did you have a comment on that?
I was actually going to say just to ask people. I think people are okay. I don't think it needs to be just a legal process or anything. I can understand you using this, using a contract for this sort of a platform. But yes, I think people would be pretty much okay with just being asked if, they could be put up on social media.
I know that in my club, I do video, I record the speakers and I edit that and then provide it back to the speaker as a learning experience for them. But I've also edited it so that it's ready to go on YouTube if they allow it. It's got a header with some intro. We've got a title with their name on it. So we've cleaned it up. But I will only put that on our YouTube channel if they give me permission. I need an email saying, yeah, it's okay.
And may I just say, Don, part of the problem with social media is that it's over the years has gotten a little fake and a little plasticky. And when people are showing their face and they're being very real, people can relate to that. They want to see the realism in people. They want to see real people who are not using filters, and they want to see their flaws, and they want to see things like that because it can relate to others better. And again, it will draw in a more of an audience for us, or more users for us.
Yeah, people know authentic when they see it. Yeah. Colleen, any other questions from the participants?
There are no more questions in the chat or Q&A.
Okay, well, we have Lisa, go ahead.
I wanted to drop in 3 more resources to add on to what Yuri gave. Were fantastic resources. Socialmediaexaminer.com has Social Media Marketing Society. So you can go online to the website and read to your heart's content. But the Social Media Marketing Society is a membership organization, part of it, that people go online to ask specific questions to get specific answers from the membership itself, which is really cool. When they do their conference, if you're a member of that society, you can get the entire month's content for your membership price, which is cool because they'll do 12 to 15 people speaking per day when they do that. So this is really good stuff to get. Socialmediatoday.com is another resource that I use to keep up with everything, because when you do it, you can't keep up everything. So I depend on the writers on both of these platforms to tell me what's going on, what's new, what's trending. That way I can stay on top of it for my business. And the last one I wanted to talk about, because I've been ghosting these guys for about 13 years, is Hubspot. They started out in 2006 and they were just kind of inching along, wasn't sure what they were going to do. And then they went into a whole full-blown course on how to do social media, how to do your website, how to do your marketing. They have a lot of different courses that are out there, and they write a lot of content. So if you're following them, even on the social platforms, you can see what they're posting about, go read their articles. It's another great resource to help keep up with what's going on and trending in social media.
It also occurred to me that since we're trying to focus this discussion today on Toastmaster clubs, not businesses, but many of you come from that business experience, and it's great. We could also reach out to other Toastmaster clubs that do social media. And right now, you'd have to look for them. But fortunately, social media channels are searchable. You can search for information. It'd be great to talk to a club that's super successful with social media. See what they do. Join their, post on their channel and start to cross-share, cross-post. Get ideas from them. There's a lot of, everything about social media in this world today is about sharing and growing and spreading the news to people who enjoy what you enjoy. Katrina.
Just one last thing I want to add. We actually are able to see how our posts or our videos are received from people when we use analytics. And Instagram and TikTok both have analytics that you can use, and it will tell you what videos do better or what posts do better. It'll tell you sort of like the demographics of people who are looking at the videos or the posts. It gives you a lot of information. So as someone who is, if you're working with social media or if you're on social media, you can start to figure out like what is doing better that you post. Let's say if you put up a quote of the day or a word of the day and it doesn't do so well. Well, maybe we can move on from something like that and we could do more stories, or we could do more posts, or we could do more speeches or something of that nature. But the analytics it's a good thing to have because it does kind of tell you what's doing better and what's not doing so well.
That sounds a lot like giving a speech, getting an evaluation, and then improving that speech the next time with those suggestions. Hey, I like this idea. You're right, analytics. I'm not personally super active on social media per se, but I'm very active on YouTube for the district, for my home club, for my own channel. And they have great analytics. You know how many downloads, how many minutes down to the second that people watched those videos. You can tell what really worked, and you can tell which ones just fell on a silent room and nothing happened. And sometimes you get surprised. I'll share one personal story, and then I'm going to hand it back to Colleen when she gives me the high sign of it's time to go. About 5 years ago, I did a session called Evaluate to Motivate. Some of the people in the audience will know what that was. One of those long projects that you needed for a DTM in the day. It was an hour-long session, so I was invited to do it at a club at Fountain Hills. And I, of course, recorded my own presentation. I put that on my personal YouTube channel. It now has 9,000 views. Now, on YouTube, in the world of influencers, that's a drop in the bucket. But for a one-person YouTube channel, that's a lot. On something that is, it's got obviously it's a Toastmaster audience who is seeing that because it gets cross-referenced from a Google search for Toastmasters evaluation. So you just never know what's going to resonate with people. And the analytics told me that one did. Colleen, do we have any more time, or are we?
We have 5 minutes, and I saw Maggie had her hand up. If it's quick, maybe Maggie could.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make it real quick. Back to what you said, Dawn. We are Toastmasters, and not only are we in our club, but you shouldn't feel alone as a club. Reach out to the other clubs, ask them for help. We're all here for the same reason. So there's no shame in asking, hey, I saw your social media is doing really good. Could you help us out? Could you show me some pointers, some tips? Reach out. We're all here. I can tell you right now, Agua Fria is behind every single one of you. Come join us, and we'd be happy if we can, or I'm sure I'm going to reach out to lots of other people. More involvement, the better. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. We're all doing this together. So let's do it.
And if you're like Maggie's club and you have a good program, reach out in your area, in your division, and offer your help. Don't wait for the people to come to you and say, hey, how are you doing over there in the other area? And say, hey, we've been doing great. We've had a lot of new members. Any last comments? Something that you wanted to say and we just didn't have it in the lineup of questions earlier? Well, I want to thank each of you, Katrina, Yuri, Lisa, and Maggie, for being part of my program. Full disclosure, this is a Pathways project for me. For those of you who are in the Pathways Level 5, depending on the path, moderating a panel discussion is a Pathways project, which completes my Level 5. So thank you all for helping me personally. Thank you all for helping the viewers who are going to watch this later on YouTube. It was great. I love your expertise. I love your energy. Thank you so much.
Don, please be sure to put your YouTube channel down in the chat so we can go
You betcha. You bet.
All right. With that, we wish to thank Dawn and this entire panelist team, like you said, bringing this all together, sharing these wonderful thoughts and ideas. Someone did just send me a message asking if there was like a cheat sheet of all the YouTube and Meetup, and well, maybe we can put something together. Dawn, that'll be up to you, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, I'll work with the team here, and we'll come up with a 1 or 2 page that will talk about the things we mentioned here today.
Yes, and please check out the YouTube video of this presentation. Share it with your friends who couldn't be here today, other Toastmasters, other VP of PR. They would really like this. And I posted, and this information will be posted on YouTube. And it's also, like I said, the link is in the chat. Everyone just have a spectacular afternoon. Thank you all.